So this is going to be my one-handed flip through of the current setup in my Moleskine Smart writing set notebook. So the first thing I did was I added these inserts in order to put foldouts. So initially I was going to have a 3-year kind of plan, a 1-year plan, my month, and then my weekly fold out. And it didn't quite work out that way. So what I did was I just took pieces of ivory colored cardstock, since that's kind of the color of the pages of this book, and I tried to glue them in, but that didn't work, so I just ended up washing them. So I trimmed them down to size, and then using the pieces that I trimmed off, I created these flaps, and this one I just happened to pull the glue off, and then I found these really thin magnets and just glued them so that I can have my foldouts. So I just attach them, put them in there, pull the flaps down, and then I have my foldout. And these are DIYFish foldouts that I've added to my journal. So this was supposed to be the 3-year. I didn't really kind of like the way it was laid out, so I just did a foldout with just a 3-year calendar. And then this spot is for a 1-year calendar to kind of track things that happen like once a month, or things that I do on a regular but not consistent basis that I just want to track, but I have not quite figured out how I want that set up yet. So then this here is my monthly fold out, and then I just kind of use some of the same symbols that I use in my bullet journal to mark on here to give me an idea of what's going on for the month. And then for my weekly fold out, this is still kind of a work in progress as I'm trying to figure out how to make the setup work. I will use this part to have like my must-do things, like these are deadlines, like these are things that absolutely have to get done that day before I go to bed. For example, like trash day is Wednesday, so on Tuesday I have to take out the trash. So things that absolutely positively have to be done on that day and can be done on no other day go on here. And then here I have things that I need to get done this week, but don't necessarily have a set time, but absolutely positively have to get done this week. And then here I'll use this space for things that are for the following week, since I don't have a full setup of, you know, all my months, days, and weeks in like I would a normal planner. Then I just washi taped my business card there in case something ever happened to it. Now this section right here is not a section that I'm typically going to have. When I got this section, I was experimenting on how I was going to use this, and then so I'd taken some notes and just some random things on here, and so when I decided to use this as my bullet journal, I then just washed in some scrapbook paper and then taped over the edges of the scrapbook paper so I wasn't distracted by this. Now, I set up this index and I haven't quite decided how to use it, but I think I might add this to what I'm going to start calling a traveling collection, where, for example, I might have topics that are going to continue across multiple journals, and so I might have this just be something I can go back and say, okay, I can look in this journal for this topic, and so I might make that and I'll talk about traveling collections here in a minute. So those pages I set aside for my index, have not used it yet, still trying to kind of figure that out. So this page, I actually made an error when I was setting up my kind of year at a glance calendar. Love the pen smudges, that's full of them. And so I decided to just tape a library pocket here to put my key in, and then some black and white washi tape, because that's kind of the theme of this journal, is black and white. So it has my color code and then my key. And then I put it in the journal, but I think next time I'm going to washi it to part of what will be my traveling foldouts. If I can get to it. So I'll put it right here when I kind of changed the setup as I've kind of gone through this. So that's the key. Then this was a calendar just to kind of, I like having it at a glance, see what different dates are and whatnot. And this is my future log. I set it up in another journal and it took a lot of time, and so I just have not taken the time to set it up in here. But again, I think I'm going to make this part of a traveling collection so that I can just move it from journal to journal. These are, over here I've got birthdays. Probably shouldn't show birthdays, but just birthdays of friends and family and important people in my life. And again, I'm going to probably add that back here to this fold out collection so that I can travel and migrate. And I'm also going to add this, which is like passwords and things I need to remember but don't necessarily want other people to see. So then I thought of some collections that I wanted to add, and like parts and accessories, like, you know, refills for pens, printer cartridges, things that I can never remember, and then I'm at the store to get them and I just can't remember what they are, so that I have some place where I can look at them. And then a shopping list. And again, I think I'm going to, and so I don't waste precious journal pages on these, going to add these to the front. Like currently there's a sticky note that tells me how many boxes I have going from left to right and top to bottom. I think I'm just going to add, my parts list here, my shopping list to this side, and I just plan on having that on a post-it note that I can just take out when needed. And so then I set these pages aside again for a budget and bills type of collection, and again I think I'm probably going to add that to a traveling collection. And then we turn into my first set of dailies. I was trying to figure out a way that kind of worked for me, because if you look at the foldouts here, and this is how I have to have it for my brain to work, is you have your month, your week, and those are like my deadlines and due dates. And then here, out here, I have like my weekly schedule. And I discovered it was uber helpful. I'm going to flip the camera so you can kind of see. I know that's super long, but when you're at a desk, it doesn't matter. And that's usually the only time I need to see all that at one time. So this kind of lets me see what I've got going on as far as schedule-wise. This lets me know what I've got going on as far as that week, and this lets me know what's coming up. So when I look at scheduling my day, I can say, okay, the only time I'm going to have to get a certain task done is this day, and then I can just get it scheduled in there. So I didn't really need to have my schedule on my dailies also when I can kind of look at it. So I decided to use my dailies as more of a task-based type style. And so, Boss Girl Booho, I guess it's Booho, I don't know. Kim Jobs introduced me to Pomodoros, and it's been really helpful for me to stay on track when I get distracted at work. And so then I adapted the 1-3-5 task, or I don't know what it's called, when you want to get stuff done method, productivity method. And because I'm a little bit, I like things to be neat and evenly spaced or whatever. So I adapted it to be 1, 2, and 3. So basically it's like the 1 main thing you want to accomplish, 2 medium tasks, and 3 small tasks. And then I wanted to have space for my Pomodoros so I could just, you know, as a way to keep myself on track. So I love this, but then realized this is just all work, and I needed also stuff to do on my personal. So the next day, I set it up again in a smaller fashion, and I updated because I realized for example, when I was setting this up, I was like, oh, I've got more little things that I need to get done that day, so I gave myself 6. And I forgot I didn't need the Pomodoros for home because I don't use them at home. Just at home, I don't know, not as easily distracted, I guess. And so you can see that I didn't fill that out. And so then for Saturday and Sunday, since I don't have work, I just kind of set up the same personal. Again, that weekend I had a conference for church, and so I didn't really have a lot going on other than attending the conference. And so then what followed are my notes from the conference, and I try to make them fun and keep me entertained. And not entertain, but just to kind of keep me focused. And then at the end of each session, I would add like a summary page. And then I decided to add this collection, which is a note to self, as I learn things or as I come up with ideas of things that I want to implement on a regular basis. I can just flip back to this collection to see. So as I was getting in this, and people, and as I had decided I was going to use this for my bullet journal, people were saying, I wish the notebook I had bookmarks, or I wish it had more bookmarks. And so this didn't have any bookmarks, and so I decided that I was going to add some bookmarks to it. And so I just took some black ribbon, tied it down the middle of the book, tied it through the middle of the book, because I do a junk journal, and they said to tie ribbon throughout it sporadically to kind of reinforce the spine. And since I had added some stuff that was causing the spine to grow, I thought I would add that in there to reinforce. And then I'm going to introduce you to what I call traveling collections. So when I decided to bullet journal, I decided that work, personal, church, everything was going to go into one notebook. And for me, it was for an archival purpose, so that, you could just, a snapshot of my life for whoever cares to ever read it ever again. But I love going back through my old journals, and I think it's just kind of fun because you can kind of see like what's going on in your week and kind of how that affected some other things that went on. So I had a separate planner that I used for work and personal, and then I had a separate study journal that I used for my, spiritual life, so to speak. And so there was one collection in there that I wanted to continue over, and it was originally just a one-day study that I had come across the topic because I work with our youth group for young women at church, and every year there's a different theme for the year, and the theme for this year is ask. And so as I was reading in the scriptures, I came across something that fit with the theme, and I thought, oh, this is, pretty inspiring because it shows the importance between asking and not asking. And so I put it in my study journal. And then as I continued to study the scriptures, there were so many more scriptures that talked about asking. And so I started to write them down. But I ran out of space because I'd really only planned, just to do just this one little spread. And it was 2 pages, and I quickly ran out of room. And so what I did was I had put this in the journal, and I pulled that out, and then I just hand wrote all my notes. And then because I'd run out of space, I had started writing it and washing it in on different random pieces of paper, and so I just transferred all of those over. So this is what I will call a traveling collection, which means it's a collection that I can take from a journal and then just move it when I go to a new journal without having to necessarily rewrite the whole thing, because I ain't got time for that. So then this was supposed to be my April cover page. I was going to do something fun with it. It's middle of April, so we'll see if I ever get there. And then I had already done some other stuff, and then anyways, I'm a Braves fan, have been even before I moved to the Atlanta area, and so I just like to see when they're playing, and for me, having it on paper is way better than having it electronically. And then I've just been keeping track of their wins and losses, and you can see Wednesday nights have been really good for them, but other than that, they've not done so hot. So, and then I had done, it's just me and my husband. We don't have kids. I want kids. And I just love making holidays fun. And so I'd done these resurrection eggs. I got them at Hobby Lobby, and they have like a symbol of Easter in it, and then some scriptures that you read. And I put some chocolate on there to make it a little bit more fun. But anyways, didn't work as I wanted it to. And so my plan was to, mark it off here that we had done it, and then to kind of write a little bit about the experience here. But big fat fail. So that's that. So then I continued my same dailies that I had done with the split between home and personal, using the Pomodoros and the tasks. And then Tuesday and Wednesday I ended up working from home, and then Thursday was just I didn't do a great job about planning. And then by the time I hit Friday, that weekend I began thinking, because I drew these out the week before, so I had all of these I drew them on Sunday night, so they were all done all the way through Sunday. And as the week went on, the system was frustrating for me because there wasn't a priority to the task. It was just this big task, and that usually is what caught my focus and attention and what I worked on. But some of these smaller things, although they were small, were more important and needed to get done, and I didn't have a way of prioritizing that. So I spent the weekend trying to kind of figure out what, you know, a daily layout that I could use that kind of had everything that I needed. And so I just kind of spent the weekend pondering on that. This right here, I like to reach out to the girls if they don't come. And so this was a way for me to kind of track that when they come so I can reach out and send a note, see if they're okay or whatever. And then this was something personal that I want to look back and reflect over, and I had planned to write notes over here, so I may add another privacy screen. That's what I call this. It's just a piece of scrapbook paper washi over it. And so there's that. And again, I might add this to a migrating collection or a traveling collection, because this is something that I'm going to want to look back over and reflect on often. And then these are notes that I took at church. And then we have starting my new layout. Now this time, because I had not decided before, you know, Sunday what kind of layout I did this as a tryout layout on Monday. And as I drew it out and started using it, I was like, oh, it's going to be much more helpful if I remove some of these things around. So basically what it does, it has my AM routine, which means the things that I do every day that have to be done when I come in the office, or that ideally should get done when I come in the office. And then these are things that ideally I should do before I leave the office. And then this gives me a morning, afternoon, and evening, which allows me to kind of plan, and I say evening, but, you know, 3 to 5. That allows me to kind of plan out blocks of time of where I'm going to do something. You know, if I have an appointment here, I'll put it in there, even though it's on here and here, just so I know, like, I really can't get anything done in this block or whatever. And then that. And then here I started tracking what I was eating and just kind of what I'm drinking. DC is my nemesis, Diet Coke, and then 27 means how many ounces of water I drink that day. And then here I have chores that I have to, you know, I have to get done or would like to get done that day. So this side, this is like work, and this is kind of more personal. And then my evening routine of things I want to do. Let's see, Easter was a bust by this point. So anyway, there's that. And so then when I changed it up the next day, and this is the layout that I'm continuing to use, and I totally love it, and it's been fabulous and fantastic and helpful, because it lets me prioritize. So those little things that I need to get done, I put them up first and get them done and out of the way, and then I can kind of focus on the bigger tasks. So it allows me to kind of prioritize and build my workday up better. So then over here, I put my meals stuff at the top. Then the chores I'd like to get done. This etc. box is just like other things that I would like to get done, or things that aren't necessarily chores. And then my bedtime routine, and then any notes. And I really haven't added anything onto that. And so that's the same for Wednesday, Thursday and Friday. Now this, what you see here, is my to-do list for work. And you can see where I've covered up notes and stuff from work, because I'm an attorney and privilege and all that stuff. So anyways, what I do is I have my to-do list of things that I have to get done, just like kind of a brain dump or a master to-do list, and I just washi it. And so I just move it from page to page. So like on Thursday it was washi to this page, and so now that it's Friday, it's washi to this page. And then when I do my thing for Monday will be here, and it'll be on this page covering Tuesday, and I can flip it up and write notes on Tuesday or whatever. So that's how that works. And we'll just come over here, and then we have Saturday and Sunday. I kind of set these up the same, and then I decided that I just want this to be just a running to-do list for the weekends. So it's kind of the same thing. I have my morning and my evening routine and my blocks of day and things that I want to get done. And here, we don't go to church on Saturday. We go to church on Sunday. And so I have to teach, so I put that in there. And then just things that I want to get done on the weekend. So then I added this, again, Kim Jobs Boss Girl Bujo, however you call it, bullet journal Bujo, does a daily reflection. And so I changed mine up a little bit, and to match it, you know, things that were, you know, I wanted to focus on. And so I need to finish up tonight's. But the really good thing about this, though, is it makes me pull out my journal at night. As I lay in bed, getting ready for bed, I pull it out. You know, I fill this out through the day. You can see, like, at work, you know, and I just fill it out as through the day. And then I've actually gone through and just, you know, that's triggered me actually writing in my journal. So that's been a real benefit. And you don't want to read about my journal. And so then I have to teach on Sunday, so I'm starting, you know, to kind of map out my lesson. And so that is my bullet journal. And then here in the back, I've had, you know, other to-do list work. I have places for other foldouts. And so like this one, I just have this one. I might add another one. It's there if I want to. But really it was just this one to show my kind of my weekly schedule. And so a couple of things that I discovered was I had, and then I talked about adding these bookmark, right? So I don't totally love the bookmarks. I don't really need them. They're not helpful to me. I don't know what they're marking, and I love the little doodads on it. It adds kind of like a little bit of fun and flair to my journal, but when I'm writing, they're in my way. And so I'm going to get rid of that bookmark. But then I was like, oh, how am I going to keep my special, you know, collection that I have in there? And so what I decided that I'm going to do is use rubber bands. And so I'm going to try to find some like skinny black rubber bands or whatever, you know, rubber bands I can find. And so whereas I have glued and washi this in, I'll just put a rubber band right here. And then I can just slip these under the rubber band, kind of like you would do with like a Midori style planner. And slip those in there. And then, you know, when I want to put this collection in here, I can put it wherever I want to, and I can just put a rubber band around. And so I can really, I'm not just limited to putting collections here in the middle. I can have an unlimited number of collections. And so for me, what kind of works better is because I do find myself, you know, even if I had an index, I wouldn't necessarily use it, but I do find myself kind of like frustrated flipping for stuff that I'm looking for. And so I thought about using, you know, these little magnetic bookmarks, and I've tested them with the pen because it's, you know, metallic, there's metal in the paper and there's the pen, and it doesn't interfere. Like I rubbed the magnet all over the page to see if it would prevent it from working. I put it on the page and wrote, and it doesn't. So I'm going to use these to kind of mark my pages for me so that I can flip to collections or things that I'm going to use too often. So this is a super, super long video. I don't know how to edit it, so you're just going to have to, you've already dealt with, if you've gotten to this point, all of my ramblings and mistakes and mishaps. So, but, so like I said, I'm probably going to redo the setup and then I'll post another video of that, but I just kind of wanted you to see where I went from. And I have another notebook around, but I can't seem to find it. And so it's added considerable bulk to the notebook. And so if you don't like that, then, you know, these hacks might not be for you, but these hacks made it possible for me to use the notebook. And so the fullness doesn't really bother me all that much. These kind of bother me. They're super cute and I love them because they're just kind of fun, but these will be disappearing. So yeah. Well, thanks for watching.